Get ready for an earth-shaking showdown that flipped late-night TV upside down and sent shockwaves across the internet. Imagine music royalty, the legendary Chaka Khan, stepping into the wild chaos of Watch What Happens Live to face off against the king of controversy, Andy Cohen. This wasn't just an interview gone wrong. It was a verbal explosion, a battle of egos and legacies that turned a simple chat into a historic meltdown from Chaka. Fiery takedowns to Andy's desperate deflections this moment. Redefine what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable provocateur. You won't believe how this unfolds, so smash that subscribe button, drop your hottest takes in the comments, and brace yourself for a roller coaster that'll leave you buzzing. The stage was set in a vibrant New York studio. Watch What Happens live pulsed with anticipation. Neon lights flared, plush chairs beckoned, and that iconic bar cart stocked with cocktails promised Andy Cohen's signature blend of charm and chaos. The audience, a mix of diehard Bravo fans and curious newcomers, buzzed with excitement, phones ready to capture any viral moment. Enter Chaka Khan, the 10-time Grammy-winning queen of funk, striding in with a presence that owned the room. Her bold outfit sparkled under studio lights, her posture regal, her smile warm. But knowing this was a woman who'd conquered stages worldwide, from smoky jazz clubs to sold-out arenas, tonight was supposed to be a celebratory pit stop to talk her latest project, a soulful album blending her classic sound with fresh modern vibes. Andy Cohen, the maestro of messy TV moments, greeted her with his trademark grin, that glint in his eye hinting he was ready to stir the pot. Chaka, a legend, he announced as the crowd erupted in applause. Welcome to Clubhouse. Chaka settled into the guest chair, her aura filling the space. Thank you, Andy. Happy to be here. She said, her voice carrying that rich, velvety warmth that's moved millions. But I've heard this show gets interest in the audience. Chuckled, sensing the playful jab. Andy's eyebrows shot up, a smirk widening. Oh, all good things, I hope. Chaka tilted her head, a sly smile on her lips. Let's just say, I was warned you ask questions nobody else dares. Andy leaned back, relishing the challenge, guilty, but that's what makes great TV, right? Speaking of, let's dive into something juicy. Your recent comments about the music industry. They've got everyone talking. The air shifted, the crowd quieting as Chaka's expression turned cautious, her smile tightening. Which comments, Andy? I say a lot, she replied, voice steady, but edged with curiosity. Andy leaned forward, his tone sharpening. You called out younger artists for lacking authenticity, saying they care more about social media clout than real talent. That stirred up some heat. The studio went silent, the audience sensing a storm brewing. Chaka fingers tapped lightly on her chair, her eyes narrowing just a fraction. I stand by it, she said firmly. Music used to be about soul, connecting deep with people. Now it's all manufactured, designed for TikTok notoriety. Andy's grin turned mischievous, harsh words. But what about stars like Beyonce, Rihanna, Taylor Swift? They've thrived in this digital age. You saying they're not authentic? Chaka paused, her gaze locked on him. Those women paid their dues. I'm talking about the new wave kids who think a viral dance and a pretty face make a career. Annie wasn't letting up. Interesting. But you've worked with newer artists, Kanye, West, Drake. You praise him. Contradictory. Much the question landed like a gauntlet. Chaka's jaw tightened, her composure wavering. Just enough for those who knew her to spot the spark of fire. There's a difference between talent and what's wrong with the industry. Kanye, Drake, they respect the craft's history. Andy nodded, but his eyes gleamed with intent. Fair. But let's talk history. Yours, addiction, struggles, financial woes, label battles. How do you call out today's artists when your career's had its own drama? The crowd gasped softly, the tension spiking. Chaka's eyes flashed, her legendary cool cracking. Excuse me, she said, voice low and dangerous. Andy pressed on, either oblivious or deliberately poking the bear. I'm just saying today's artists have more control, ways to avoid the predators your generation faced. Chaka leaned back, her gaze piercing. Predators? Andy, let's talk predators. Executives who stole rights, pushed artists to collapse, fed addictions instead of help. You think Instagram stars know that grind? Andy countered, they've learned from you, built smarter careers. Chaka voice dropped, colder artists like myself. What's that mean? Andy, the room felt like it was holding its breath. Andy, sensing danger, but unable to resist, pushed further. Artists who've overcome demons, rebuilt after mistakes. Chaka hands gripped her chair. Mistakes? You're calling my life mistakes? Andy backpedaled, but his tone betrayed him, not judging, just saying younger artists learn from your generation's challenges. Chaka voice sliced through. Our generation built a foundation these kids stand on. We fought for control, respect, paved their way. Andy tried to pivot. That's my point. They build on your work, taking it higher. Chaka laugh with sharp, humorless, higher auto tunes, not progress. Andy, buying followers isn't art, viral stunts aren't soul. The audience was riveted, caught between awe and unease as two titans clashed. Andy, his usual swagger faltering, argued, "You can't dismiss a whole generation for using new tools. That's like saying rock wasn't real." Because electric guitars, Chaka, a stereo voice heavy with decades of grit, and electric guitar takes skill. Andy, what I'm talking about is artistry versus artifice. Andy's face tightened his defensiveness, showing that sounds elitist. Chaka dismissing artists for working differently. The word elitist hit like a bomb. Chaka stood slowly, her presence, towering eyes blazing, elitist for expecting talent, for demanding soul. Andy flushed, stumbling. "I'm saying it feels like you're looking down on a generation." Chaka voice roar with control fury. "Elitist? Is you inviting a legend here to tear her down? Elitist is thinking you know more about music than someone who's been in the trenches since before you were born." The studio was frozen. Andy's confidence crumbling. "Chaka, I respect your legacy," he stammered. 70 million records, 10 Grammys, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice. She thundered, "I've influenced generations, and you want to bait me over artistry." Andy tried. "I was aiming for an honest talk about the industry's evolution." Chaka cut him off, her voice ablade. "Honest, you invited me to celebrate my work, then spend the whole time diminishing my perspective, blaming my generation's struggles on us." Andy, now visibly rattled, said, "That wasn't my intent." Chaka stepped closer to his desk, her presence overwhelming. "Why imply my criticism comes from jealousy? Why suggest we were less savvy than kids, following our blueprint?" Silence gripped the room, cameras humming. Chaka continued, her voice a mix of wisdom and wrath. "Elitist is you psychoanalyzing artists who've lived battles you can't imagine. Elitist is thinking your opinion matches someone who's created timeless art." Andy's voice small said, "I just wanted different perspective." Chaka shook her head. "No, Andy, you wanted controversy, a viral clip. But real artists don't play those games." The audience sat transfixed, witnessing raw truth. Chaka softened, but her power held. "I came to talk music, my new album, artists I love across generations. But you saw me as a relic to challenge, not a treasure to celebrate." Andy desperately pleaded, "We can reset. Talk music." Chaka's sad smile spoke volumes. "No, Andy, you showed how you see my generation. And I believe you." Quoting Maya Angelou, she said, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them." Turning to the camera, she addressed viewers, "Real artistry can't be diminished by those who don't get it. Never let anyone make you feel small for demanding respect." With that, Chaka walked off, head high, dignity intact, leaving Andy alone the way of the moment, crushing his usual bravado. The audience sat stunned, cameras capturing a historic exit as the show cut to commercial. Now, let's unpack this epic clash, because it's layered with history, passion, and fallout that kept the world talking. Chaka Khan, born Yvette Marie Stevens in 1953, in Chicago, grew up steeped in music. Her mother collected jazz records. Her stepfather played bass, planting seeds for her soulful sound. As a teen, she joined the Black Panda Party, serving breakfast to kids, organizing community events, a reflection of her lifelong commitment to justice. By her late teens, she was singing with Rufus, a funk band blending gritty soul with rock-infused energy. Their 1974 hit "Tell Me Something Good," written by Stevie Wonder, catapulted them to fame. Chaka voice, raw, powerful, unmistakable, became the band's heartbeat. When she went solo in 1978, her debut album, Chaka spawned "I'm Every Woman," an anthem of empowerment that still resonates over decades. She racked up hits like "Ain't Nobody," "I Feel For You," and "Through the Fire," collaborating with legends like Prince, Quincy Jones, Stevie Wonder. But her path was fraught with challenges. The music industry in the 70s and 80s was a battleground, especially for black women. Labels controlled artists' creative output, pushing them toward commercial sounds at the expense of their vision. Chaka fought to maintain her funk soul roots against pressure to churn out pop hits. She faced exploitive contracts with executives pocketing royalties, while artists struggled. Her battles with addiction, which she's been open about, were exacerbated by an industry that glamorized success while offering little support. Yet she persevered, mentoring younger artists like Whitney Houston, collaborating with Prince, influencing everyone from Mary J. Blige to Kanye West. Her recent comments, a plea for soul over clout, were rooted in her fight for authenticity. Andy Cohen, born in 1968 in St. Louis, built an empire as Bravo's mastermind, turning Real Housewives into a cultural juggernaut. Watch What Happens Live, launched in 2009, became his playground, a late-night talk show where celebrities from A-listers to reality stars faces unfiltered questions. Andy's charm lies his ability to seem like your cheeky best friend while slyly pushing buttons. But his style, rooted in gossip provocation, has drawn criticism. Guests like Kathy Griffin, Nene Leakes, have called him out for prioritizing drama over respect, accusing him of exploiting personal struggles for ratings. The Chaka-Andy clash was a perfect storm. Chaka came to promote her album Soul Revival, a project she described as a love letter to soul, blending her classic funk with contemporary influences. She was ready to talk about her creative process, collaborations with younger artists, her vision for music's future. Andy, however, saw an opportunity to capitalize on her recent comments about the industry in a pre-show interview. Chaka had critiqued the rise of clout-chasing artists, saying music's become a popularity contest. Soul takes a backseat to algorithms. It was a bold statement, but not new. Chaka's always championed authenticity. Andy, sensing a chance for viral drama, framed her critique as an attack on younger artists, setting the stage for confrontation. When Andy brought up her addiction struggles, financial woes, he crossed a line for Chaka. Those weren't just tabloid headlines. They were battles she fought, and one to have them weaponized in a casual jab felt like a betrayal to respect she'd earned. Her response wasn't just about defending herself. It was about defending her generation of artists who clawed their way through an unforgiving industry. When she called out predators, she was referencing a system that exploited artists like her. Executives who demanded hits while withholding royalties, managers who turned a blind eye to addiction, an industry that often undervalued Black women's contributions. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated. Subscribe for more powerful video.